Okay, so if you're just joining us, my name is Dov Baron. I'm the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com, and for being a regular viewer on this show or any of my shows, you get the opportunity to have your access to the matrix.fullmontyleadership.com, matrix.fullmontyleadership.com, which is a leadership self-assessment test. You get to go there, you get to have that absolutely free for being one of my regular viewers, regular listeners. And if you want to share it with others, you can do the same absolutely as our gift to you. So get yourself over to matrix.fullmontyleadership.com. What else? All kinds of stuff I could tell you about where to find me, on YouTube, of course. You might even be watching this on YouTube. Dov Baron, Full Monty Leadership. On Facebook, Dov Baron Leadership. On LinkedIn, Dov Baron. On Twitter, @the Dov Baron. And I write for Entrepreneur Magazine and a bunch of other wonderful outlets, including Arianna Huffington's Thrive Global. So all kinds of great places to reach out, find me, send me messages. I'd love to hear from you, love to know what you're up to, and love to know what you're actually doing with what it is that I share. We've got literally hundreds of thousands of people who are following me through all the different mediums, different outlets. And it's always good to know that this is a good investment of my time. Leadership in so many ways is about impact. And I think you recognize that if you consider yourself a leader in any way, shape, or form, it's not about title, it's about impact. And that we are all having impact of some kind or another. And the important thing is for us to question what the quality of our impact is. So sometimes people are having impact, but it's not always the kind you would like to have. So the reason I like to have your feedback is because I want to make sure that the impact that I'm having is something that is actually valuable to you, that you're getting a lot out of, that you can apply, that I'm giving you insights, strategies, tactics, and understanding that you previously may not have had, that you can put to work in your own business, in your own life, and certainly in your own leadership. All right. So, excuse me, the subject of today's show is sycophants and psychics. Who is destroying leadership? We were brought in to work with a company, and as you probably know if you're a regular viewer of the show, you know that we do a lot of work with multi-generational family businesses. So, and for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that they are companies that are often quite large. It's not your mom and dad shop, mom and pop shop. It's often 3, 4, maybe 10 generations old, and been around for a long time. And there's often a lot of challenges that go on inside that. You have to think about it for a moment, just in the simplest form. You've been told, no doubt, if you're in business, or even if you've considered going in business, that it's not a good idea to go into business with your friends. But what about with your family? That has some very significant challenges to it. Being in business with family can have all kinds of unexpected challenges. So, when it's a multi-generational family business, what you're actually dealing with is considerably more intense, because you're actually dealing with a legacy that can go on, as I said, for multiple generations. We're brought in to work with these families and help them to find the soul of their business, to find the soul of their leadership, those kinds of things, and help them with really developing the kind of quality communication that is needed in order to really have a business that is not only surviving but thriving, really is doing that. And we were sitting in this boardroom very recently, my partner and I, having a communication, and we were actually just teaching a piece. And all of a sudden, the president of the company, who is an older gentleman, sort of interrupted. And he interrupted as my partner was speaking and became quite defensive and actually quite attacking. It was really very interesting, because nothing that was being said was in any way an attack on him. Nothing that was being said was in any way demeaning to him or to his company. We were simply talking about an example. So my partner, being a marvelous communicator that she is, said, "Can you tell me what just happened there? Can you tell me what happened for you, what it was that triggered you?" And he then put forward his assumption, his presumption, his assumption of what it was that she was thinking while she was speaking. And of course, as you can imagine, there was none of that. That was absolutely nothing to do with reality. It was him pretending he was psychic, that he somehow was able to think what it was that she was thinking. Now just think about how ridiculous that is. You think you know what someone else is thinking. Most people don't even know what they're thinking themselves, let alone thinking what somebody else thinks. It's a pretty complex idea. So he was his projection. And what's more is he was dogged about it. I mean, he was committed to the fact that he could read her body language and he could see that that's what she was really thinking and that's what was really going on. You know, and it was fascinating to me because we had talked about this part of the presentation in quite a lot of depth, and there was nothing about him particularly that was even related to it. It was just as a general about business and about family business. So we after we left that training, we started talking about this idea that so many leadership people in leadership positions feel like they are psychic, feel like they have a bond, they have a way of knowing what it is that somebody's thinking, even when they're not actually communicating it. Fascinating, right? So we started talking about that, and we started talking about, well, does that make a good leader? And we chatted about it, and one of the things we came up with is, of course, if you're a leader, you've got to learn to be in tune. You've got to learn to pay attention. You've got to learn to see what's not being said. Now, my partner and I both are highly skilled, highly trained in communication, particularly in micro cues, which are things that people don't even know they're doing. So for instance, when I'm sitting with a client one-on-one, all of a sudden something will happen and I'll say, "What was that?" And they'll go, "What was what?" And I'll say, "Right there. What was that moment? What just happened that you dismissed? What happened that you pushed to the side?" And they're like, "Nothing." I say, "Just let your mind wander back a few seconds. What was running through your head that you dismissed?" And they go, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" And then they'll tell me what was going on. Because I see things that other people don't see. Because I'm highly trained to do that, as is my partner. However, this CEO, and let's face it, 99.9% of CEOs and leaders are not trained in that. They have developed a certain amount of sensory acuity because of their leadership position, but to think that to presume that you can know the thoughts of another person, even if you're as highly skilled and trained as we are, and that's our specialty, it's really, really pushing that envelope way beyond what is even slightly considered reasonable. So here he was, this CEO, playing psychic, presuming that he could know what somebody was thinking, and not only that, but presuming he was right about it. So not even going, "Well, it looked like this to me. Is that what was going on?" Not that, just an absolute certainty that that was what it was. So a CEO playing psychic. So in our conversation afterwards, we started talking about, well, why is that? Why would a leader assume that they can read the situation, that they can read the mind of the other person? And you know what came up was so real, so mind-blowing for us, because in that same meeting earlier on, we were sitting with the president, the CEO, and 3 other members of the executive team, and we're sitting with them, and the president had said something. Again, it was a psychic statement, not about my partner, but about his team members, well, they all think. And I said, "Oh, okay." So I just paused it. I said, "Okay, that's fine. How do you know that? Has anybody said that?" "Well, no, I just know." "Oh, okay." So I went around the room and actually checked with the executives to see if that is indeed what it was that they thought. Now, you might be surprised to know that, or may not be surprised to know that they kind of agreed with him, but they stayed kind of in the middle ground. So what happened? Well, what happens is that when you're taking care of your position, when you are looking after your job, when you're taking care of that, when that's the thing that's on your mind and you're paying attention to, pretty obviously you're not going to be disagreeing with the boss in any obtuse sort of way, in any sort of challenging sort of way. You're going to kind of go along with the boss, even if the boss is wrong. Now, I'm not suggesting that's what you should do, but I'm saying that that's what most people do in most positions. Now, the challenge with that is that sycophantic behavior, meaning you become a yes man, you become a yes woman. Sycophantic means that you simply say yes, you nod your head, tug your forelock, and sort of go along with the situation, even if the person's completely wrong, because they have more power than you, and there is more at wager, there's more at loss, a potential loss for you, so you go along with it. And the challenge with that is, and this is why I want you to get this, is the challenge with that is what that sets up in the leader is the sense that they actually are psychic. See, I knew that that's what you were thinking. I knew that that's what was really going on. See, you're not fooling me. I knew. But the CEO, the president, that leader, that person in that high-ranking top position is allowed to believe whatever it is that they want to believe, because everybody's protecting their own. They're protecting their position, they're protecting their role, they're protecting their state with that person. Does this make sense to you? I really hope it does, because I want you to understand that that's not leadership, not in either position. So what I mean by that is, for the executives in that room, when they were sycophantically saying yes to the president, to the CEO, about him being right about what it was that he thought, they were condoning and they were applauding his psychic behavior. Now, the problem with that, just so you know, is if you're in that position, it's not just going to happen to other people. That president, that CEO is going to be doing exactly that to you. He's likely going to be talking to other people about you. He's going to be talking about how you think certain things, how you are a certain way, without ever bothering to check whether it's true. You don't make your president, your CEO, your leader a better leader by agreeing with anything. Now, on the other side of that is the leader who thinks they're psychic has got to stop. Has got to, if you want to be a great leader, one of your great communication skills is to not assume, but rather to ask. Rather than making statements of fact, make questions, ask questions, find out if your assumption is off. Because if you don't, here's what's going to happen. You are not going to endear loyalty. You're gonna have people who are going to be self-protective, of course. They're going to protect their jobs and their positions, but that's an oppressive environment. And even though they may like the job, they may even like you as a person, they may like their position and what it is they do, that feeling of, I can't really speak my truth because you've already decided what my truth is going to take a lot away from their position, is going to take a lot away from their role, it's going to take a lot away from their trust of you and their trust in the organization. So one of the great communication skills, simple communication skills, I want to teach you as the top line leader. And what that means is whether you're the president, the CEO, or you are a manager who's leading others, is give up your crystal ball. Give up your crystal ball. Stop making assumptions. Ask questions rather than making statements. Even if you are certain, even if you are 100% certain that you're absolutely right, ask a question rather than making a statement. Furthermore, in that same communications strategy, I want you to challenge yourself to be able to create a safe space for your people to tell you their truth. Now, there's a million different ways to do that. Ideally, face to face, head on. But I realized that even though people get to positions of very high positions, we all have an ego, and to some degree that ego might be a bit fragile. So maybe you need other ways, and if you need another way that allows for anonymity in the communication, then fine, do that. Do what you need to do, but create a safe space for your people to give you direct feedback, because if you don't, what you're doing is you're perpetuating a lie. They will never tell you the truth. You're never going to get true loyalty for them, because loyalty cannot be in place without trust. And I can't trust someone who's going to be mind reading me. Nobody can trust somebody who's going to be mind reading them. So it doesn't, in other words, it says whatever I say, it's not going to really matter, because you've already decided what it is that's true. So that's it for today. That's our Leadership Unlimited episode for today. Sycophants and psychics. Who is destroying leadership? And the answer is both of them. Neither of them are doing leadership any good whatsoever. It does not lead to loyalty. It does not build trust. So that's my challenge for you today. To stay curious, my friends. Stay curious about how you are sycophantically saying yes, and how you can find the courage to tell the truth. And I realize that takes a lot. And how you may indeed be telling yourself, pretending to yourself that you're psychic, and telling that other person what it is that they're thinking and believing, when in fact you may be way off. Till next time, this is Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com. I look forward to your feedback, so please write the feedback below. I always love to hear from you. If you have questions or insights, or you need clarity about something, sure, stick that in there too. And again, remember that you can find me at FullMontyLeadership.com, and of course you can find me on Twitter every Tuesday and Thursday, on my blog with new articles, and on YouTube with new videos. We're everywhere. So just reach out and just Google DOVBARON. It's been my honor and pleasure to serve you. Until next time, this is Dov Baron, and I am out.